This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sob like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, folks. It's a big game tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks take on the Indiana Pacers, and the Pacers are one game above the Knicks in the standings. They're in the 6th spot. The Knicks are in the 7th spot. And basically, the winner of tonight's game, well, the Indiana Pacers are already in the 6th spot. But if the Knicks win, they can move into that 6th spot and be tied with the Indiana Pacers. So this is a big game, especially when we start getting towards this point of the season, ladies and gentlemen, when, I guess, January, February is kind of those dog days of the NBA, but when you're as close as you are in the standings, it means a lot. You know what I mean? So the Knicks, they need to get this win tonight, so that they can move back ahead of the Pacers in the standings. Josh, what's popping with you, man? How you feeling?
Salute, Sam. Salute the NBK fam. Salute the chat out there. Yeah, I agree. Hey, Steph.
Hey, how are you? Happy New Year.
Good. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Yeah, I mean, definitely important for the Knicks to get this game. I would like to see the Knicks win more of the divisional games. But, this game is still a very important Eastern Conference matchup. Like you said, the Pacers are one game ahead of us. So winning this game is definitely important that the Knicks want to try to get up into that top 6 and hopefully stay there. So we don't have to worry about a playing situation. So definitely an important game tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Steph?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Hope you and Josh is okay. It's an important game. They all are right now, in terms of just kind of setting ourselves up that, to be seen as, in some ways, I feel like we can cross the line, so to speak, in terms of this is who the Knicks are going to be going forward. And in order to do that, you're going to have to win multiple games and kind of separate yourself and kind of make a statement and say, we're not the same old Knicks. And I think these next few games and basically the rest of the season is an opportunity to do that. So a roundabout way of saying this is an important game.
Right. Especially when, the Knicks were on an 8-game win streak, then they went on a 5-game losing streak, and then they turn back around and go on a 4-game win streak. This is a chance to, all right, your win streak was snapped at 4. Now let's start another streak, right? So now maybe you go on a 3-game win streak, and that's how you start to really create some separation, between you and other teams, when you can go on a streak, lose a game or 2, and then go on another streak again. You know what I'm saying? Right. And this is the perfect time for the Knicks to start that streak, especially when you start to look at, obviously you don't want the team looking ahead like this, but if you look at the upcoming schedule, it could be favorable to the Knicks when you look at the upcoming schedule, right? They play the Pacers tonight. They play the Wizards on Friday. They play the Pistons on Sunday, right? Then they're back with the Raptors on Monday the 16th. Then they play the Wizards again on the 18th, right? So, this could be a favorable stretch. The Knicks can't look ahead to that. They got to focus on tonight and try to get this win tonight and then see if they can take advantage of a favorable stretch that's coming up, where they can really create some separation between their win-loss record and hopefully some separation between them and the Pacers or whoever else is, below them. You know what I mean? Because the Miami Heat is starting to turn it on as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the competition is only getting more fierce. And the Knicks haven't even played the Heat yet, right?
I don't think so.
No, the Knicks haven't played the Heat yet this season. So the competition is just getting more fierce So when you talk about the dog days of the NBA, I don't know if, with the way things are, the parity across the league, I don't know if you could talk about that anymore, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? As far as the injury report for today, RJ Barrett's been upgraded to questionable, so hopefully he's getting closer to coming back. They obviously need him out there just for depth purposes. I don't want to say just for, but for depth.
I was about to say, so.
For depth, not just for. Yeah, I had some people mad at you, right? Not just for depth purposes, but that's one of the reasons you need RJ back.
Yeah.
I mean, you need him back, but obviously, he adds, a lot to the team, and then it creates more depth for the Knicks. For the Indiana Pacers, Kendall Brown is out. T.J. McConnell is questionable. Aaron Naismith is questionable. Daniel Tice is out. Well, I guess Tice has been out. I don't even know what his status is. But hopefully RJ is able to come back soon. Giving the injury report for the Knicks, I mean, RJ is questionable. I'm not expecting that he's going to play, but you never know. But I don't expect he's going to play. But for the Knicks, we got Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And for the Indiana Pacers, if Aaron Naismith does not play, then I would think they would go with maybe Jalen Smith at power forward. And so they'd have Haliburton, Buddy Hield, Nembhard, Jalen Smith, and Miles Turner. If Aaron Naismith does play, he's normally playing in that power forward spot, actually. So, he would probably take the place of Jalen Smith. All right, so just looking at, I guess we can go, assuming that he doesn't play, Aaron Naismith. How do you see these matchups? I'll start with you, Josh. How do you see these matchups?
Well, I think the Knicks match up well against the Pacers. I think the Knicks are, based on what the Knicks are doing, you with Randle going up against Smith, I think that's a win for Randle. Jalen Brunson going up against Haliburton, that's going to be a key matchup tonight. And I think, the Knicks match up well overall against the Pacers. We have to limit the Pacers' ability to get in transition. I think they're number one in the NBA as far as their percentage points off of fast break. So limit them from getting out in the open floor. And they take a lot of threes and they make a lot of threes, right? So we got to be able to limit them and close out on those three-pointers and prevent transition opportunities for them so they can don't get easy buckets. If the Knicks kind of can play their game, get back to moving the basketball, I think this is a win for the Knicks. But they have to get back to doing that exactly. Last game, we had 16 assists against Milwaukee. That is, I think, a season low in assists for the season. Well, we average about 22 or something like that. So as long as we can get back to moving the basketball, I think we should be able to win the game tonight.
Yeah. Steph, what's your thoughts on these matchups here?
Yeah, I think we match up pretty well with them. They're playing a 3-guard lineup, even though Haliburton is pretty tall, right?
Yes.
Haliburton's like 6'5", 6'6", yeah.
Yeah. I do think we match up. I think Randle should win his matchup. I'm a little concerned about Robinson and Turner, only because Robinson tends to over-rotate. Like not that he can't defend out there. I think he's gotten better defending on the perimeter, but he's really cognizant of the drive. And sometimes the person hasn't even really gotten into the key, and he's, already in position to stop them, and he's one pass away, right, leaving his guy open for the three. So I'm a little concerned about that. Listen, make no mistake about it, I think this is going to be a dogfight. This is going to be a good game, and the Knicks are going to have to come to play. One thing I do feel comfortable about is that if it's a close game, we do have Brunson.
Right. And see what you said about Mitchell Robinson. I feel like that's I still feel like that's a Tom Thibodeau thing, as far as him, being ready to defend that, defend the paint, even though, he's still a couple of passes away. I think that's the way that Tom Thibodeau has him defending that paint, You know what I mean? I mean, some of it is him because he's a shot blocker and he wants to be there and be prepared to get blocks. But I think Tom Thibodeau supports it at least, right? Yeah,
Yeah, maybe some. Because when I saw Fournier, also, and people were saying, "Oh, that's Tom Thibodeau's defense for him to be in the key." He was too much in the key. So
Practically
I
under the
mean,
rim.
correct. So I think you're right in the sense that he wants them to, be ready to stop the drive, but you're one pass away on a 3-point
right,
shooter. You can't do it too quickly. And that's
right.
the thing with Robinson. I think he's too quick to rotate over. The guy hadn't even put the ball. I'm talking about the last game. He hadn't even dribbled once or two. He hadn't even beat his man, and he was already in position. So
Right.
I agree with you. I just think they have to be a bit more disciplined in terms of the
The
timing.
timing. And I
Oh,
think
Yeah.
this probably helps add to Mitchell Robinson sometimes getting into foul trouble. Because now you may be defending the paint, but then if the ball gets kicked to your guy, now you got to hustle out there or battle to get in position. And normally, when you have to hustle out to get in position or battle to get in position, what happens? You end up fouling, right? Because the person you're playing against takes advantage of you maybe being a little bit out of control. Especially when you're playing against some of those really skilled bigs. And Miles Turner is not skilled like some of the other guys that Mitch has faced up against, but he's smart enough. He can post, he can shoot it from the outside a little bit. You know what I mean? And he's a vet. He's been around for a little while, so he can definitely take advantage of, someone coming at him out of control. Now with this team, and hopefully, they're looking at it on the scouting report. They don't have Haliburton can get in the lane. They don't have a ton of guys that are gonna like really break you down and put you in, that frantic position of someone's in the paint. You know what I mean? So hopefully, that helps the Knicks in that regard, but they do shoot the ball well from three, like 37% on the season.
Sim,
Go ahead,
I
Josh.
would like to add. I do think that it is a part of Tom Thibodeau's strategy. However, you look at Jericho Sims. To me, Jericho Sims is the best pick and roll big defender that the Knicks have. Because he is able to know when to chop off, when to be able to hedge, when to be able to commit enough to where Knicks can force turnovers, they can get into their rotations. I think Jericho Sims plays it well when I see him out there on the floor defending the pick and roll. So I think part of it is Tibbs, but I do think a lot of it is on Mitchell Robinson. He still has to work on defending the pick and roll, knowing exactly what to do in certain situations. Like you said, against his Pacer teams, they take a lot of threes, they make a lot of threes. So it's going to be on Mitchell Robinson to be able to understand when is it time for him to back off, when is it time for him to step up and hedge, and when is it time for him to just play better pick and roll defense overall. So I think that's really a lot on Mitchell Robinson to go ahead and do.
Yeah. The Pacers they take like 39 attempts per game. Right. So, you really got to be, you got to be ready to close out. You got to be ready to rotate. You can't mess around with this team because 39 attempts, 37% from the 3-point line. You know what I mean? They can definitely shoot the ball. Looking at defensive matchups, I believe Quentin Grimes will probably be on Haliburton. Right? So I don't know if it's going to be the Brunson-Haliburton matchup. As far as that's concerned, it'll probably be Grimes on Haliburton, quickly on Buddy Hield, Jalen Brunson on Nembhard, Randle on Jalen Smith if Jalen Smith is starting, and then Mitchell Robinson and Miles Turner. Right? Looking at Quentin Grimes and Haliburton. Now, Haliburton, I'm thinking, will probably still defend Jalen Brunson. Right? Teams like to put their best defender on Jalen Brunson to try to, keep him at bay. But what's your thoughts on Grimes? What does Grimes need to do versus Haliburton? Steph, I'll start with you. You're muted, Steph.
I think keep doing what he's been doing up to this point. Play really good defense. Don't foul him. Keep him out. Keep him out keep him out the lane. I don't know if he needs to do anything special, anything different than what he's already been doing. Fight over screens, get back into the play. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Me personally, I would like to see if you can, and I don't know if you can, right? But he likes to facilitate. And when you got shooters out there, if he can find shooters, I think that's the way that they want to operate. If maybe you can force him to have to score a little bit. So maybe that's not on Quentin Grimes. Maybe it's on everyone else to make sure they're denying their guys, and not allowing their guys to get open when Haliburton has the ball. See what he can do. Let Grimes defend him trying to score, right? And see what Grimes can do with him trying to score. And then maybe you slow down, his ability to facilitate and get other people involved. Josh, what do you think?
I agree with you. I think that the Knicks definitely will have Grimes guarding Haliburton. Haliburton is the guard with the ball in his hands at the point of attack. So they're definitely going to put Grimes on Haliburton. And I do agree. I think that we need to force Haliburton to be able to score a bit, play up on him. My only concern is Haliburton has a very unorthodox kind of shot.
Mm-hmm.
His motion is very, very funky. So I'm worried about Quentin Grimes. He's been susceptible to jumping up in the air, getting those, 3 foul shots or whatever for the opposing player. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but I think that if we force Haliburton to try to score a bit, we don't need to double him or anything like that. Stay home on your guy. I think we can be able to probably contain him a little bit, but we definitely have to look out for that 3-pointer because Haliburton, even though he is unorthodox, he can knock that shot down as well as everyone else that they have on the floor. So we definitely have to be able to force Haliburton to score. I would go at it that way. And definitely I agree with Grimes guarding Haliburton.
Yeah. And then you got
this is the thing.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Can't play him because if you lock him down, you're forcing him to pass.
Right.
Right. If you playing him up close and you locking him down, like you're forcing him, you're forcing the ball out of his hands. But I guess that's different than him penetrating and drawing and kicking out to open. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And doing that. Like if he's just passing to someone on the wing because he can't get past you or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
but
different.
Yeah, I guess if you can just force him to be the guy that has to go one-on-one, and I'm sure it's easier said than done, but if you can force him to be that guy, I think that's to the Knicks' benefit. Then you got Emmanuel Quickley and Buddy Hield, right? This is a matchup that Buddy Hield has a size advantage on Emmanuel Quickley. He can shoot the ball. He could put it on the floor a little bit, not really, penetrate like that, but he could put it on the floor, pull up a mid-range, if you're closing out on him. This is a matchup that I'm just a little concerned about because I think Buddy Hield is a good shooter. And while Emmanuel Quickley is a good defender, I think Buddy just has the size on him a little bit that could prove to be troublesome for the Knicks. You know what I mean? Steph, your thoughts on this matchup?
How tall is Buddy Hield?
I think Buddy Hield he's
6'5",
6'4", 6'5", something like that.
Yeah, I'm liking Quickley on the defensive end. I'm actually looking forward to it. I actually think Quickley, for the possessions that he's guarding him, is going to hold him under his average. Like that's how comfortable I am, with Quickley and his wing, and his wingspan. Now, what I will say is Buddy Hield is a little savvy. So, watch out for, Quickley can get into foul trouble, in terms of him knowing how to draw the fouls. But Quickley gets small, he gets skinny coming around the screens. When he is screened off, he doesn't give up. He fights back to get in. He has that long wingspan. I actually like him against Buddy Hield.
Okay. Josh?
So I'm not really concerned about the height differential as much for this particular matchup because the Pacers offense is about swinging and moving the basketball, creating situations where you have to, have someone screened and then rotating the ball around the perimeter to get their shots off. Hield is not going to post up Emmanuel Quickley. That's not his game. Nor do they have really anybody out there on the floor that's going to really post you up and shoot over him inside the arc. My only concern is if the Knicks, and Quickley specifically, because the ball's going to be rotated out his way, if Quickley can be able to close out and make the shots tougher for Hield than they need to be. I think that's really what I'm focused on as far as Quickley is concerned. The height for me, for this particular team, I'm not really concerned about as much.
Yeah, see, I'm not as much worried about the height. I'm worried about just the size difference, right? Because even though, you can have someone who's taller than you and you can defend that person, but the size, I think he's a little stronger, and he might not post him up, but, quickly closes him out, bump him out the way, still get his mid-range up. Last game he played us, he had 23, 56% from the field. He was 5 for 10 from the three-point line. I'm concerned about Buddy Hield and the way that the Knicks play him. And I think
hope you're wrong, Sam. I hope you're
I'm concerned about him, man, because I know that guy can light it up and get hot.
He can.
He can get hot. And last time I guess it was RJ that guarded him the last time, right? Because they've only played once this season.
Right.
Yeah. And last game, Aaron Naismith had 23, Buddy Hield had 23, Benedict Mathurin 15, Tyrese Haliburton was 15 and 10 in that game. So yeah, hopefully the Knicks can do a good job against them. Now, Julius Randle, if Aaron Naismith doesn't play, I'm assuming it's going to be Jalen Smith out there. If Naismith plays, it would be Aaron Naismith. And Naismith in the last game, like I said, he had 23 points. And he's small, but I guess because he's a strong defender, they have him playing that power forward spot. He's 6'5", 215, but he plays that power forward spot for him. They're a small team all around when Aaron Naismith is healthy. When you look at their starting lineup, when Aaron Naismith is there, you got Haliburton at 6'5", Buddy Hield at like 6'4", Nembhard I think is 6'5" or 6'6". Naismith is 6'5", and then you got Miles Turner out there. So they play small. When Naismith is there, Jalen Smith is usually that other power forward coming off the bench. I think he didn't play many minutes last game they played. But Naismith was there, so Naismith got the bulk of those minutes from that position.
Sam, I think height is going to come into play as far as Indiana defending us. Offensively, I think, because of the way they run their offense, I don't think height will come into play as much as it will for them being able to defend us. I think that's why you have, Naismith, if he plays, or Jalen Smith out there to defend Randle. Now, regardless, I think Randle should do his thing and should be able to score and take those guys to school. But Randle could struggle against some of the bigger, taller, lengthier people. He did last game in the first quarter against Lopez and Giannis. So I think, that still could be a possibility. But I think Randle is still good enough to be able to get what he wants off on the offensive end, despite the height differential of the Pacers. Because I do think they are long. They're going to cause us some problems offensively. But I still think Randle can win that matchup.
Yeah,
no matter which one, if it's Smith or.
Yeah, if Jalen Smith is out there, I think Randle will dominate that. I think he has more trouble with Aaron Naismith than Jalen Smith, right? Because Aaron Naismith, while he's smaller than Randle, he's strong. He's a good defender, and he can get like up underneath Randle and stop Randle from getting into his shooting motions, and just cause Randle some trouble. You know what I mean? So if he's not playing, I'll be a little bit relieved that Randle's going up against Jalen Smith instead of Aaron Naismith. You know what I mean? Steph, any thoughts on that matchup?
Jalen Smith? No.
Yeah.
I think I'm not concerned about either one of them. I feel like Randall's just been playing lights out, and his recognition has been so much better, even with the smaller guys. He's not bailing them out. He's facing up, he's posting them up, or he's taking them right to the basket.
Right.
He's not bailing them out with poor shots. That used to be the strategy, put somebody really small on him, and he's not going to know what to do. I just feel like he's playing much, much better. His decision-making, his recognition, much better.
Yeah. In the last game, Randle, 25 points, 14 rebounds. He was, as a matter of fact, the Knicks, even Mitchell Robinson had 13 rebounds in the last game they played. So hopefully Mitchell Robinson can duplicate that effort versus Miles Turner tonight. Mitchell Robinson was, how many points did he have? 10 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Right? So the Knicks will need Mitchell Robinson to give that same type of effort tonight versus Miles Turner. Miles Turner in the previous game, I don't recall him having a great game. I'm going to look it up right now. I know, Mitchell Robinson was, he was impressive in that game. Miles Turner, 6 points and 8 rebounds versus the Knicks in the last game. I'm pretty sure he's going to be motivated to have a better game, but we need Mitchell Robinson to have the same type of game tonight versus Miles Turner for the Knicks to pull this game out. Mitchell Robinson's been kind of struggling a little bit over the past few games, and being able to stay on the floor, rebounding, this and that. The Knicks, they need him tonight in a big game, without a doubt. Looking at the bench matchup from the last game, the Pacers bench kind of dominated over the Knicks in the last game. The Pacers bench had 35 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists. They didn't shoot well from the field. They shot 38.7% from the field, 0% from the three-point line, but they still had 35 points. The Knicks bench, 14 points, 10 rebounds, shot 35% from the field and 28% from the three-point line. 17.9 minutes for the Pacers bench, 12.2 for the Knicks bench. And it's been, since the last time that they played the Pacers, this has basically been what the Knicks bench is, right? This is the kind of production you've been getting from the Knicks bench. Obi is back. Do you think Obi can have, a second game back, an impact in this game at all? You get a game under him, to get in shape a little bit. Or maybe he doesn't want to have a good game because he doesn't want to get traded to him. I don't know. You know what I mean? But Steph, you think can Obi have an impact on this bench and try to get some more production from the bench, using Obi? I think you're muted.
Sorry, dog is barking. I think he can. I think he can. He gets to his spots. It's just a matter of the 3-point shots going down. And it's just a matter of the second team does a decent job of passing the ball around. So it's not like, they'll forget about him. So I definitely think he can have, he hit a 3-point shot the last game. I think the more he plays, it'll get better. The issue is that I don't think he's going to average as many minutes as he averaged before he went out. And he was only averaging 17 minutes then.
Right.
I don't even think it gets back up to that now that Randle is playing the way he's playing.
You might be right. Yeah, you definitely might be right there. Josh, what do you think?
So I do think Obi could, potentially, step his game up to give some more production to the bench. One thing I would like to see is, again, I've been saying this for a couple of years now, Tibbs not play Randle full quarters. I would like to see get in there just to prevent Randle from playing those full quarters. But I do agree that the minutes disparity as far as the actual amount of minutes overall, I don't see Obi getting back up to 17 to 20 minutes a game with Randle playing like this. Now, I would like to see Obi play in different spots throughout the game, like I said, to prevent Randle from doing those full quarters, but I don't think those minutes will go up. In regards to the bench overall, I think, even though the Knicks bench is lacking right now as far as production, I think that could be okay as long as Randle and Brunson are carrying the load for the starting unit. Look around the NBA, benches are not scoring that crazy in the NBA unless you're, the worst teams seem to have the better benches, right? So I think that in the starting unit, if Randle and Brunson can continue to play well, and that's a big if they can continue to play well, you won't need the bench as much. I would love to see the bench increase production, but I just don't think, as of right now, with Randle and Brunson playing as well as they're playing, that it's that much of a necessity.
Wow!
But can they? Yeah. That can they continue to? Yeah. Okay. If they continue to play these amount of minutes, 40 minutes a game, it won't be because they're not good enough that they don't continue this production. It could be because they're burnt out. They're tired out. You know what I mean? So I think you've got to have the bench produce to give these guys so that they're not playing 40 minutes, so they're playing 33 minutes. You know what I mean? And then they're fresh come crunch time.
Well, again, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily about the amount of minutes that they're playing compared to the starters, because again, you look around the NBA, that's just how it is around the league. As far as a production standpoint, again, I do think, and Randall and Brunson are not in the level of some of the other teams, like with the two All Stars or two superstar players, they're not on that level. But it's not necessarily a necessity for me if Randall and Brunson are going to continue to play as well as they're playing. I don't think that is necessarily something that the Knicks need to really stress about right now. I say wait till RJ gets back, and then maybe you can put RJ in that second unit, not necessarily Randall, but RJ into that second unit, and just try to inflict it that way. I don't think it's not something that the Knicks need to worry about as of right now at this very moment. I'm not really concerned about that.
I'm very
I'm
concerned.
concerned about it.
When you look at that, that puts a lot of pressure on Randall and Brunson to have to play
Yeah.
at the level that they're playing at. When RJ comes back, that takes a little pressure, off of them. We're talking about ball movement. Why? Like that, these guys, you're not getting anything, out of those guys. So I do think we need some bench support. When those guys do go to the bench, you want to be able to hold the lead. And when you look at the players out there now, Fournier is back, so there's some semblance of maybe you'll get a basket. Obi is back, maybe you'll get a basket. But prior to that, when you looked at that bunch out there, you had to ask yourself, where are you going to get a basket?
Yeah. I mean, because the one thing we know is that these guys aren't, they're not the KDs and guys like, they're not them. You know what I mean? So the depth for the Knicks becomes more important than teams who have those type superstars, in my opinion. And that we thought was going to be a strength of the Knicks coming into the season. You know what I mean? And it hasn't been. I mean, when you look right now for the season, as far as point production for the bench, for benches around the league, the Knicks right now are 26th in the league in point production for the bench, 30.1. At one point, they were close to the top in point production. Now, Josh, you're right. The San Antonio Spurs, their bench average is 43.
Pistons.
The Clippers, they're 42. The Pacers, 41, but they're a good team, right? But obviously you got Benedict Mathurin, who, comes in and probably gives you close to 20 a game. You got the Pistons, the Jazz, OKC, LA. All of these teams are, high in point production with their benches, right? When you start to get to, really good teams, Memphis, they're 10th in the league. Dallas is 13th in the league. New Orleans is 12th in the league. Phoenix is 11th in the league. You know what I mean? I don't mind the Knicks bench being around there as far as point production, 33, 34, 35 points per game. Over the last 20 games, the Knicks bench is giving you 20 points or less. And I just think that's an issue when you don't have those star type players in your starting lineup. You know what I mean? The Knicks need to have that.
Puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on them.
I mean, I do agree. I do think that it does put a lot of pressure on them. But I mean, the Knicks have been kind of semi-successful playing the way they've been playing recently. I mean, if the argument is, down the road, you don't think it's going to be like that, then I would probably have to agree with you. But with RJ's injury, I don't think that the Knicks really have anything to worry about for the long-term course of the season. Right now, obviously, you're out players, so you're going to have to sacrifice here and there. But the Knicks have been able to hold their own despite the bench not being able to produce. So as far as this game tonight, I'm not really concerned about it as much. Down the later course of the season, towards the end, going towards playoffs, then I would be a little bit more concerned. But as of right now, I'm not. Let's get RJ back healthy. Obi's back, so that's going to give us a little bit of a boost, and I think I'll evaluate it at that point.
Yeah, once RJ gets back, it's going to help tremendously. You know what I mean? Right now, the Knicks, over the last 15 games, the Knicks are last in the league in bench minutes, 12.9 minutes per game. And that's still almost 2 minutes lower than the Raptors, who, 14.1 minutes per game for their bench. And even in scoring production over the last 15 games, The Knicks are dead last in scoring production for the bench at 19.6. The Raptors 23.7. 4 points above them, and they're at 29. But once RJ gets back, quickly goes back to the bench, I think those things will change a little bit, right? And you'll see more bench production, more depth, more versatility from the Knicks lineup, because the Knicks right now literally have very little versatility.
Right.
You know what I mean? People, RJ adds that versatility because he can play a couple of different positions. He can defend a couple of different positions.
Play with the bench.
He can play with the bench. Emmanuel quickly can come in and relieve Jalen Brunson, and he can go and play a couple of different positions. You can have Brunson and Quickly out there. So, it adds more versatility when RJ gets back. The Knicks need him back. And not just for depth purposes, but, they need him back. All right. So, I think for this game, though, I think the bench production is going to be big because of Ben Mathurin. You know what I mean? He I think averaging 19 points per game for the Pacers coming off the bench. So I think that's going to be, that's going to be one of the keys to the game, I think.
How many minutes is he playing, Sam?
Let me check. I think he's probably, I'm sure he's playing starter type minutes. I'm pretty positive. I'm going to check for you right now. But as I'm checking and looking up that, the last time the Knicks and the Pacers played was just about a month ago, and the Knicks won in Indiana, right, which was a close game, and I expect this to be a close game as well. This is going to be a battle going all the way down to the, all the way down the stretch. The Knicks just lost the game down the stretch. Hopefully they have enough to pull this one out. The last time the two played, the Knicks won 109-106. The Knicks won the rebound battle 49-44. Only 13 assists in that game for the Knicks.
Right.
Only 13 assists. The Pacers are tough defensively. That's part of the reason, but only 13 assists. 7 steals for the Knicks, 9 blocks for the Knicks, 13 turnovers. The Knicks shot 47% from the field. They shot 30.8% from 3 and 76% from the free throw line. The Pacers, they had 20 assists, 5 steals, 3 blocks, 15 turnovers. They shot 43% from the field and 34.2% from the three-point line. Are you expecting tonight's game to be similar to the last game? Kind of a defensive slugfest type of game, similar to what we just seen with Milwaukee. What do you think?
Did you say the Knicks had 13 assists and 13 turnovers?
They had 13 assists and 13 turnovers, yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done. The Knicks have to get their assist total back into the 20s. If they're going to have, 13 turnovers, I would like that number to be a little bit less, obviously, but 20 assists, 13 turnovers, that's something that the Knicks are averaging anyway if you look throughout the season. They have to get back to getting to that number. And it starts from moving the basketball. I remember that game against Indiana. They weren't moving the basketball as much more isolation basketball that game. And that's how you end up with a number like that. And if the Knicks are going to, turn the ball over at, 13 assists per game, this team can get out and transition and fast break, and they can knock that three-point shot down. So get back to moving the basketball. It's going to be tough, not going to be easy, not easier said than done. But if the Knicks can get back to playing that style of basketball with the starters or whatever unit is out there on the floor, I think would be much more successful or potentially successful than if we don't move the basketball.
Right. Steph, you expecting the same type of slugfest type of game?
I do. Yeah, I do. The Knicks haven't been turning the ball over as of late, though. They've been pretty good in terms of turning the ball over. And as far as ball movement, I'm for whatever wins. If the Knicks are passing the ball around, I like that in the sense that the defense has to work. But at the end of the day, as long as your best players are taking most of the shots, I'm okay with that. I don't want to pass it around to an equal opportunity offense. But if we're passing it around and Randle is still getting his same shots, but, he's moving and making, Indiana have to work, I love it, and the same thing for Brunson. But if we're just passing it around and at the end of the night, Quickly has as many shots as Brunson and Grimes has as many, then I have a problem, right?
I feel that.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem moving the ball around because that makes the defense has to work. But at the end of the day, Randle still has to get his shots in his spots, and the same thing for Brunson.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I do want to have, talking about the bench. I mean, if you're okay with the bench not taking as many shots, I mean, of course they're not going to have any production if the ball is going to be in Randle's hands and Brunson's hands for the most part. I do think that
doesn't play with them,
But the
though,
bench
Josh.
ain't playing with them.
I'm saying if the Knicks are going to have to mix the lineups around at some point. But I'm saying if you're okay with the Brunson and Randle taking the majority of the shots, and then that's what you're going to get from the bench. If the Knicks mix the lineups around, that's exactly what you're going to get, right? So for me, I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with the Brunson and Randle taking the majority of the shots, but it's how you do it. The Knicks get way more efficient shots by moving the basketball. Isolation basketball is very limiting. I feel like this team has the ability to move the basketball around, get guys some touches, and if they don't take the shot, that's going to leave it open for someone else. Grimes doesn't have to take as many shots as Randle Brunson, obviously, right? But if Grimes can get a look, he gets covered, he can be able to pass it off. He's very underrated as a passer, right? So I want to see just the Knicks mix it up a little bit, get other people involved, and let the ball just move naturally. I think that's the best style of offense for the Knicks to play, and we've seen that this season.
Well, listen, I don't have a problem with ball movement. Let me just say that. I don't have a problem with ball movement at all. But we was moving the ball at the beginning of the season, and we were in a very good team. We might have been number 1, 2, 3, 4 in offensive rating, but we were really struggling. The pace was up, and we was really struggling. So what I'm saying is, you got to do what wins. If that's what's winning right now, that's totally fine. When RJ comes back, it'll probably be a different, it'll probably be a different story. I don't have a problem with moving the ball around, but one thing I do want to say, those guys are willing passers. So let's not act like this is ISO ball and those guys are not passing if they're double.
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
Yes.
I get what you're saying, but the offense starts with them. Whoever has the ball, my turn, your turn, offense, I call it. But when they're double teamed, they're doing a very good job of reading the defense and passing. So Brunson is still, not Brunson,
Right.
Grimes is still getting shots. But I hear you. I don't have a problem with moving the ball, moving your body. I think you get more in the flow. And for me, the defense gets to work. But those bench players, they get enough shots and they brick it. So
That's what I'm saying. How many
they
more
break
shots you
it.
trying to get him?
I do want to quickly, Queen, I definitely do agree with you, but I do want to say the reason why the Knicks they have the record that they have and they went on these winning streaks this early in the season as opposed to last year is specifically because of the way they're playing offense.
The 8-game win streak you're talking about.
Right, yes,
around
absolutely.
that time. Okay, I was talking earlier than that, but yes, I agree.
Right. Absolutely. And the defense, I always knew the defense was going to be there, but what makes this Knicks team different, not just the addition of Jalen Brunson, because he helps with that, obviously, but it's Tibbs' willingness to run plays to get everybody involved with the offense. Our offense is much better than this year than it was the past 2 years that Thibodeau has been here, and it's because the Knicks have a focused effort into ball movement. Randle buying in, of course, the addition of Jalen Brunson makes everything contagious. To me, I think that's what's causing the Knicks to basically play better basketball than they played in the past couple years in the beginning of the season. So, again, I know that last game. I know that last game against the Bucks, they kind of reverted back. But I'm not saying it's been ISO the whole season. That's not what it's been. It's been a very increased effort to move the basketball. But I just think that they need to keep that up and play that way. That's going to be the best way for the Knicks to play basketball offensively moving forward. The numbers show it.
Yeah. Well, the Knicks have the 10th best offensive rating right now in the league at 114.1. 10th best. And they got the 10th best defense in the league at 111.7. So,
yeah. But I will say most of that moving around was before the emergence of Randle. Before Randle became Randle, right? Because a lot of times when they was moving the ball around, he was struggling, and he even said so, like just trying to find his spot. I think we went a little more ISO once Randle started getting into his groove, and once Brunson started getting into his groove. But listen, I'm not arguing with it. As long as those guys get their shots and they get them in their spots, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think, you know what? I think you can't come in with a specific offense in mind. You got to look at your team and do whatever works for your team, I think. You know what I mean? And, can they find a good balance of movement and ISO with this team? I think they can. And they're probably still figuring that out. How do you find that balance, so that it's not, you're not putting it all on one guy's shoulders or whatever it is, and they're probably still figuring out how to find that balance. When RJ comes back, you're going to see that balance. It's going to look much better because right now Brunson and Randle are taking a heck of a lot of shots because, they got to. When RJ comes back, it's going to spread out a little bit more, right? Because earlier in the season, when RJ was there, Randle was at like 17, 18 shots a game. Since RJ's been out, he's at 25, 26 shots. Brunson too. So I think when RJ comes back, you're going to see that spread out a little bit more. But you got to do it, whatever wins you the basketball game in that moment is what you got to do. And then, you work on it and continuously try to get it better. But I think there's a balance that they can find in there. They're probably still trying to figure that out, what that balance is. But in the meantime, while they're figuring it out, for them to have the 10th best offensive rating in the league ain't bad.
Absolutely.
That's not bad as they're figuring it out. What's your prediction for the night?
Knicks winning a close one.
Okay, I'm with it.
Say Knicks by 15.
Oh, you got him blowing them out?
I got him, pulling away at the end.
Ooh.
Grimes is not our best shooter. Let's relax with that. Let's relax.
Who said that?
Man.
Somebody said that in the chat.
I think people get sold because their form is good. People were saying that about Quickly for a long time, and he was shooting like 39% for his career, but he had good form, so he was a good shooter. Come on.
Yeah, Kevin Knox got good form too.
Yeah, I like Grimes, and I like his shot as well. But he's inconsistent, which is to be expected, for a player who probably hasn't even played 82 games yet.
Right.
I think we're talking about shooting overall. I don't think Grimes is our best shooter overall, but as far as spot up and the spots that the Knicks need him to hit those shots, I think he's best at that spot up role. As far as the people that are playing in the rotation, you can talk about Fournier, but as far as the people playing in the rotation, Grimes is our best spot up shooter off a swing. He is.
What about Brunson?
Off a swing? Brunson, I think off the dribble, that type of thing, Brunson would probably be our best shooter. And he's our best shooter overall, I would say. But off a swing pass, when the Knicks need a shot off the wing, Grimes is our best spot-up shooter.
He's the one he gets it the most because he doesn't have the ball in his hands. So he gets those spot-up shots the most. I don't know if that necessarily makes him the best one, or that he, makes those spot-up shots at a higher. We'd have to look and see what the efficiency is.
What the catch and shoot numbers are.
Yeah, what the catch and shoot numbers are. It's just Brunson doesn't normally get those because he's got the ball in his hands. You know what I mean? But if you're looking at just straight up percentage right now, Brunson is at 37.5. Quentin Grimes, he's at 37.5 as well.
From three?
For this. No. Hold up. That's for his career. He's at 36.8 this season. 36.8. Yep. Randle right now is at 34% for this season from three. Yeah, he was up a little bit higher than that, but his attempts this year are high, though, from the 3-point line. Randle this season is attempting 7.8 threes per game. That's the highest of his career. 7.8. So, but I think the Knicks get the win tonight as well. Hopefully they understand the importance of it. I think they're itching to come back from that loss to Milwaukee. You know what I mean? And like you said earlier, Steph, want to prove to everyone that okay, we can take a loss, but we can come back and get a good win. And this is a good quality win for them to get. They get this win. It's a team. They're 5 games above 500. Good defense. It's a quality win for the Knicks if they can get this tonight at home. You know what I mean? Good quality win, and then set themselves up to have some more success. Right now, what are they? 22-19, right?
Yes.
41 games into the season. They're just about. Are they where you thought they would be, Steph? Better, worse? I think we talked about this.
I think they might be a little better. I think they might be a little better. I had them initially at 40 wins, And then I said they can get as high as 46 if a few things fell in place. So
Yeah.
I guess they're right there.
Okay. Josh?
The Pacers are doing better than I expected. I think the emergence of Mathurin,
I'm talking Knicks.
Haliburton is.
I'm talking about
Oh, I'm
Knicks. I
sorry.
ain't worried about the Pacers. I'm talking Knicks.
Nothing
Heck
but
yeah.
Knicks.
Right.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, the Knicks are doing better than I expected. Tibbs, I mean, as much as people want to come down on Tibbs for, the minutes and all that stuff, Tibbs is definitely showing me he has the ability to adjust. I think this team is playing much better offensively. Defensively, I already knew that the Knicks were going to be up there because that's who Tibbs is as a defensive coach. But offensively, when I'm seeing them move the basketball, making quicker decisions, Randle, Brunson, everybody like that, I got to give them a ton of credit. So they're definitely doing better than what I expected them to. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to propel them into that sixth spot. But I think they're, a mediocre team trending upward. So that's my assessment of the Knicks as of right now at this point in the season.
Nah, I don't think the Knicks are mediocre, but I hear you. I think we need some bench help, though. That'll help.
You don't think we're mediocre? You think we're bad?
I think we're a little better than mediocre.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
I said mediocre trending upward, so.
Okay.
I guess. I'm really excited about where I think this team could go and how much better they can get even this season, because I still feel like they're learning. You know what I mean? And learning on the fly. And obviously, over the last 15 or so games, they haven't been fully healthy. They've still been able to win basketball games. I'm just excited about where they can, where we can see them being when it comes to the end of the season, and then being able to build on it from there.
Sam, this is my hot take. Brunson's arrival and his recent play has opened the Knicks contention window. Is this a championship contending team? It is not.
But
he's opened the window.
I get you. Okay.
And I think the front office now has to be thinking differently based on what they've seen. And he may have even accelerated that window a little bit. And that happened in Philly, right? When Elton Brand got there with Sims and Embiid, and he was thinking, all right, we're going to play out this season. It's probably going to take them another 2 seasons, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, whoa, I need to start getting some people around them pretty quickly. Our window has opened. I'm not saying we're there yet. This is definitely not a championship contending team, but it's like pre-opening.
It's a draft. It's a small draft coming through. There's a draft coming through.
I don't think that's much of a hot take at all. I think that's on the money. I think that's spot on. I don't think that's a hot take. Listen, you got a point guard. You got someone that can take the pressure off of Randle. Everyone knows how I feel about the Knicks getting a star player. I think if we can bring a star player in to play with a Randle and Brunson, this team is looking. They're looking all right. You know what I mean?
And we may not even need 2. I was thinking when we bring Brunson and we're going to need 2. It's looking like we only need 1.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
Let's
I
see
agree with
what
that.
we can do.
I didn't say they were a championship team. Almighty said that's people misconstruing what I'm saying right already. I'm not saying that. I specifically said this team is not a championship contending team.
Right.
I do want to add. I'm looking up catch and shoot numbers for the Knicks right now. Quentin Grimes. Svi is the number 1 on the team as far as catch and shoot 3-pointers at 60%. But as far as the players that play in the rotation, Quentin Grimes leads the team at 37.9% on catch and shoot threes. Jalen Brunson is 36.8 from 3-point range.
All right, that's good.
Okay.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. The window is open. It's a draft coming through. The window, little small bugs coming under it and everything. The window is open, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see where they go. They got to start with it tonight. Get this win tonight over the Indiana Pacers. Any last thing to say before we get out of here?
It's been a long time coming, and I need the front office to do what they need to do to open the window a little wider. But for this game, I'm really excited about our 3 top players, and hopefully RJ comes back tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, that'd be lovely if he comes back tonight. Josh?
I think RJ will play tonight, and I got the Knicks by 15.
All right, let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. I'll catch you tonight on the post-game show probably about 10, 15 or so. See if the Knicks can get this win. We out of here, folks. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.